Hi guys and welcome back to today's video. I was a bit sick the last week, that's why I did not upload last weekend, but now I'm back. And as I told you in my previous video, I wanted to do matching pants for the vest you can see in the background. And yeah, I was working on the mock-up, but then I got sick and I was not quite happy with the first mock-up. And with the pants I could not upload this weekend, so that's why I decided to work on something that I already did before, but I wanted to do another version, and it's about a pinafore dress. I really love making pinafores and wearing ones because I always like to layer my clothes, and I already made this kind of pinafore dress before. Well, I think insert some footage right here. I made one in brown with this plaid fabric, and it has a waistband, and I wanted to do a second version but without the waistband and with fake flap pockets. I can show you right here. This is the version I did before and this is the new version that I want to do in today's video. I already printed out the pattern, but if you're new here, hi, I'm Kristina, I'm a fashion design student and I do fashion and design videos. That's the fabric I'm going to use today. It's a cream white or off-white corduroy fabric. It has a little bit of stretch, not too much. I have quite a lot of fabric, so that's definitely way too much. But I think I'm going to make jackets for it too in another video, but I'm not sure which kind of style to make. I actually would like to make a bomber jacket, but I'm not sure if it will fit with this pinafore dress, but yeah, we will see. We start with the dress first. So I'm going ahead and press the fabric and I show you the pattern pieces in a second. I prepared all my pieces right here and now I need to cut it out. I added 1.5 centimeter to the side seams as my seam allowance and 4 centimeters to the hem, and all the other edges are around 1 centimeter. And these are all the pieces I need. We have the back, the side back, side front and the front. I have my pocket flaps. I cut it out 2 times at the moment because I need to take a look if I have matching lining laying somewhere around. But if I cannot find any lining, I'm going ahead and cut it out again. And also the facings for back and front. And yeah, since this whole piece is not lined, I need to go ahead and overlock all the edges. If you don't have an overlock, you can also use a zigzag stitch. So yeah, that's what I am going to do next. Okay, I am back with all overlocked pieces, and I noticed while overlocking that it's completely unnecessary to overlock at the neckline and armholes since there is a facing. Of course, if you have a fabric that is fraying a lot, an overlocked edge is better to have, but in this case it's completely not necessary. And now I'm going ahead and sew the zipper first for the back, because that's for me the most annoying part and I want to get it done, so that's why I am going to do that first. I am also showing you how I install an invisible zipper. I first like to close the center back here on the bottom part of the dress, because for me personally it is easier to do it first. I know that many people are installing the zipper first and then closing the bottom part, and it should be this notch right here. So I'm going to close this part and then I'm pressing the seam open. That's that. I closed the bottom part and now I'm going to insert the zipper, but I actually also added some interfacing to this center back seam because since the fabric is a bit more stretchy, I don't want the seam of the zipper to stretch out or something. So that's why I added some interfacing tape. It looks like this. It has some stitches on it, so it's a bit more stiffer. That's the tape I use. used. I just used half of it. And now we are going to insert the zipper, and that's how I do it. So I placed the zipper how it's supposed to lay in the end once the garment is finished. And I'm also going to do that with the outer fabric too. I am folding the seam allowance, like just placing it on top, and this way I know how to sew it on. And then I'm choosing a side that I want to sew in first, and I am just flipping it around like that. And that's how I know that this side of the zipper needs to meet this side of the fabric. And then I can go ahead and open it and make sure to put it right sides together. And since my seam allowance is 1 centimeter, I can pin it closely to the edge. Make sure to leave around 1.2 centimeters up here, and I am pinning this part in. And make sure when you're pinning a zipper that you do not use any tension, that you don't stretch the zipper, just place it on top of the fabric with no tension at all. And once you reach the end of the zipper, I make sure to pin it too as much as I can. That's the part we closed before, and I try to pin just next to it. And now I can sew towards this seam under the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Using a half foot, it looks like that. Because I do not have a zipper foot for my machine. I know there are some that I could buy, but to be honest, I learned to sew with a half foot. But of course, if you have a zipper foot, use a zipper foot. It's a bit easier. And I am just going ahead and start to sew the zipper on, and I use a wider stitch. And I'm using my scissors to press it away in the beginning. And once I sewed 1 or 2 centimeters, it's easier for me to continue. Now I'm just pressing the teeth away with my fingers as much as I can. And honestly, I'm just going very slowly so I don't mess up the zipper and so I don't sew into my fingers too. That's the point where we closed the bottom part of the dress. It's right here. Maybe you cannot see it that good, but... And then I tried to sew closely to this point. And once I reach the point, I'm actually going to sew a bit further, but towards the center back, so it makes a curve like that. Then I'm checking if that's close enough or not. And I check all the way through, but it looks good so far. And then I like to close it just so I can check if there's anything wrong with the zipper or if it closes nicely. And then I'm going ahead and pin the other side, and I try to match the upper part right here at the neckline. And just take a look how it needs to be once it's closed. I'm opening the zipper again and make sure to open it all the way through. And then I'm going ahead and pin everything. And after pinning, I'm going to open the zipper just to make sure that it's on the right position. And I'm not going to pin it too closely to it because I first need to check if the zipper opens nicely or not. I'm just using this opening right here to close it. I'm taking a look at this side right here. And the most important part is here at the bottom. That needs to lay flat in the end so your zipper looks invisible. But it looks good so far. And once you're satisfied with how the zipper looks at the moment, you can go ahead and open it up again. That's also why I left this opening right here. So we can go ahead and unzip it all the way, like that. Then I'm going ahead and pin the rest of the zipper. And in this case, I'm starting from the bottom because I don't want to change the foot. I just used this one that I put right here. So that's why I'm starting from the bottom, and then I'm going to sew closely next to the zipper. Okay, before I open the zipper, I'm already checking this point right here if I sewed close enough to the zipper teeth. So I'm going ahead and close this whole thing. I'm checking from the other side if the zipper looks good. Going ahead and gently press onto the zipper seam. Okay, that's how it looks like now. The zipper is done. And now I can continue to close the dividing seams. I continue with the back since it's already here. So that's the back. I have 2 notches up right here. That's how I know that this is the back part. And I'm going to pin it. Guys, it's so hard for me to film for TikTok and Instagram. And that's something that you need to do nowadays. I always forget it. Maybe I should try to cut the material for my YouTube videos into shorts or something. Because it's just so annoying to film twice. But it's okay. And of course, I do make sure to meet the notches. Honestly, back then, when I did not had any tripods at home, I just simply went ahead, used my phone, put it like that, and I just filmed like that, to be honest. And I think I'm going to do that right here too. I pinned this side and I'm also going to pin the other side so I can sew it in one go. Okay, then I'm going ahead and close that, and I think I'm going to press the seams open. Alright, the back is prepared. Now we can continue with the front. I just decided that I'm also going to add some interfacing to the neckline of the front because we need to cut into the seam allowance, and that's why I decided to add it right here so it's not stretching out at this point and a bit stiffer. Now that is pinned and I'm going to sew that. I'm back with the back and front pieces. I closed all the dividing seams and pressed them open for back and for the front. And then we can continue to close the shoulders. And I pin the dividing seams first here at the shoulder area so they meet once it's sewn. And then I just go ahead and close the seam right here. That's how it looks like now. And before we close the side seams, we actually need to sew in the facings for front and back. And that's what we are going to do next. So I just put this aside. Here I have my front facing and here are my back facings, and I just put the right sides together, and then we need to close the shoulder seams too. And now it's time to actually finish the neckline and the part of the zipper in the back right here. I think if you've done invisible zippers before, you could simply go ahead and place it right sides together and then just close this part right here, laying it flat and just sew across it. And you know, you maybe have seen some tutorials of how it works, but I will show you how I actually do it. And for that I need to take you in a bit more. I am currently looking at the back piece, and first I am going to close the seam at the center back. And typically you would just place the edges on top of each other and just sew a straight line next to the zipper teeth, but I am actually going to place the upper part of this neckline right here a bit more towards the side. I will just flip it so you can see it better. So that's the facing and the center back line. And I will simply go ahead and put it out by around 1 centimeter, a bit less than a centimeter. And this amount depends on how much of your zipper will be visible in the end. Once it's sewn, I will insert an image right here and mark it for you what distance I mean. Because I like this outcome that you can see right here in this picture. It looks a bit more cleaner, and that's why I do it this way. So I will just use the amount that I need here on the neckline area. I just place the facing more outwards next to the edge of the center back, and I pin the upper part right here, and I try to match the bottom edge again with the shell fabric. That's how it looks like, and here I can see the seam that I did for the zipper, and I will stitch few millimeters next to it, maybe around 0.5 millimeters or so. Okay, that's the outcome at the moment. And now the next step would be to sew the neckline. And before we do that, we need to place this a bit differently. My new edge is the zipper right here. It's not anymore the line that we sewed, but it's the zipper teeth. And I want the zipper teeth to be on the center back. So that means when sewing, I actually need to treat this like the edge, and I place all the seam allowance towards the facing side. You won't see any seam right here. Everything is laying towards the facing. And I will also make sure to pull a bit on the facing so the zipper lays flat on this part. And I'm going to pin that. I think once I've sewn one side and show it to you, you will see what I mean by that. Now I'm going to pin that in place. And once again, I need to match with the shoulder seams right here too. Now you will not have any problems to match up with the notches and the neckline. I will show you on the other side again once I pinned everything. So I just continue pinning the neckline also for the front, and I just quickly go ahead and pin the center back part once again. We have the zipper right here and the zipper teeth, and we want the zipper teeth to be at the edge of the finished garment. So that's our new line where we need to fold everything. I'm treating everything that's next to the zipper as one layer, and I just flip it like that. So everything lays on the side of the facing, and I just pull a bit on the facing right here so the zipper lays flat on top of the outer part of the garment. So I'm pinning everything and in place for the back, so this part looks good. And again, I'm also matching the shoulder seams right here and pinning the rest of the facing in the back and the front. That's how it looks like, and we are going to sew across this line right here. That's exactly where I need to stop sewing and turn everything under the sewing machine and continue sewing. I'm just going to trim it to, I guess, 0.5 centimeters or something, or a bit less even, just so it lays nice and flat once it's turned right sides out. I'm just cutting towards it but not through it, but get as close as you can, something like that, so the V-neck line will look good. And for the other side too, just trim it to 0.5 centimeters. That looks good. And now before I continue to turn it right sides out, I first go ahead and understitch. That means I am going from the center front right here, put the seam allowance towards the facing, so something like that. So that's the seam allowance, and I just place it to the side of the facing, and I'm going to stitch right next to the seam. Let me show you under the sewing machine. You can also feel it with your fingers. And I just continue to sew all the way to the center back. And I'm just slightly opening up the seam right here, so there's no extra fabric that gets caught into the seam. So just make sure that you open the seam with your hands like that. Alright, one side is done, and I do that for the other side too. I have my piece right here. And then I'm just turning everything right sides out. That you can also go ahead and check if the V neckline looks good. If there is some pulling going on in this area, that means that you still need to cut forward to the seam allowance so that it lays more flat like that. And since we understitched, it's now easier to press since it's automatically laying a bit more flatter. And just gently press the neckline. Alright, check everything from the right side if it looks nice or if you need to press once more. So people, I already sewed one side of the armhole so you can see how it looks like, and now I can show you how to do it on the other side, because this part is a bit trickier, but it's fine. I can recommend to sew the armhole in 2 steps. So first we need to place this piece with the facing right sides together at the shoulder point. And you can't just go ahead and do it like that because you won't be able to turn it right sides out. You actually need to place the part at the shoulder here at this area right sides together. Just pretend like the seam allowance is already turned into the inside and the seam should look like that. And now you're just grabbing from one side towards the seam allowance. You can either do the back or the front first, it doesn't matter, but just grab from one side, grab the seam allowance and place the pieces right sides together. Decide which side you want to do first. I just grab this part right here that is on the top. And this way you can now place the shoulder seam right sides together, pin the shoulder right sides together, and just pin a bit of this part right here that is a bit trickier to handle. And then you can pin this part first because that's a bit easier. Alright, and then I'm sewing this part right here until this point right here. And I will be right back in a second. And now you can turn it right sides out again. And you can see that one side is done. Then I'm going to grab the seam allowance at the shoulder again and pull it out just a bit. And this time I'm going to pin the other side. And once again just pull it a bit out so you can see the seam. And now just go ahead and pin this part right here. So I would say this is the trickiest part of the dress. Other than that, it's a pretty simple and easy dress to make. And now I can just sew the other side up until the point where I secured my seam. And then we are done with this side too. And once that seam is done too, you can go ahead and cut away the seam allowance. I also trim it like I did for the neckline. Alright, and that's how the armhole looks from the inside. And now I just go ahead and press that using my tailor's hem for the rounded edges. Then we can continue to close the side seams. I will be right back in a second. And now we can continue to close the side seam in one continuous line by placing the pieces right sides together like that. And you can sew the seam from the facing towards the hemline. That's one side. Both sides are pinned and now I just sew them closed with a 1.5 centimeter seam allowance, and then I'm going to press the seams open and we are almost done. We still need to do the pockets and the hemline. I can recommend to try it on at this point so you can check if you need to take something in the side seams, and you can also go ahead and check if the length is okay or if you still need to adjust a bit. Once you've done all alterations that needed to be done, you can go ahead and secure all the facings, and I simply do that by pinning the facing at the side seams, and it should be enough to only do it for the side seams. But if you feel like the front is moving towards the outer part, you could also go ahead and hand stitch a few stitches so it's invisible on the side, so you can decide however you like it. I will do it for the front just a bit. Right here, maybe also at the front. Stitch in a ditch from the right side of the garment. Just a few stitches so it's secured. Now it's secured right here and can't go anywhere. And for the other things I'm just going to hand sew a few stitches right here so it's invisible from the right side, but I'm not doing all the way through, it just needs a few stitches. So I'm done with the facings and now I can also go ahead and press the hem. Since I already tried it on and I know that the 4 centimeters are good, I just go ahead and measure and just press the hemline. And now I just pin it in place so I can then go ahead and hand sew it. So guys, we are almost done. I finished the hem and now we can continue with the pockets. That's the last thing we need to do. I looked for a matching lining, but I do not have any. So that means I just cut that out 4 times in the main fabric, but that's okay since the fabric is not that thick, it's fine. And I already went ahead and marked the pocket position for the front piece. It looks like that, so I marked the upper edge right here. And I'm also going to do that too for the side front piece. So I just try to place it flat on top of this pattern piece. So now I pin the other position. There are 2 different ones for smaller sizes and the other sizes, so I just used this one. So I'm going to mark that right here too, and I just pin that and use another needle to pin on this side right here, like that. And I do that for the other side front too. I leave this part for now, and then I go ahead and sew the flaps. I just sew around this corner right here, and I leave the upper part open so I can turn everything right sides out. And I simply go ahead, press everything, and I also overlock the upper edge. That's what I'm doing now, so I will be back with the finished flaps in a second. Now I go ahead and pin them in place how they should be at the end. And I am going to try it on once more just to check if the position is okay for me or not. I am actually going to change the position just by a bit. I moved them up by 2 centimeters and placed them more towards the side seam. I will change that on the pattern later on. Then I'm removing them. You can now sew on the pockets. If you have a removable pen, use that to draw on a line, so you can use the guideline to place the pocket next to the guideline. I don't have a removable pen, and my vanishing chalk is white too, so I won't see it. That's why I just place it and eyeball it. This will be the finished edge. That means I have 1 centimeter seam allowance here, so it needs to meet at the line once it's sewn. So that's something that I need to pin in place now. And also for the other side. So that's pinned in place, and now the same for the other flap pocket. Alrighty, and now I can take out the pins that we don't need. And I'm going to sew a straight line and just ball tacking the edges so it will stay like that. And the very last step is to fold the flap downwards, and then you can go ahead and do another stitch right next to the seam so the pocket will face towards the seam all the time. Alright, we are done with the dress, and now it's time for the reveal. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more sewing content and maybe also fashion design content in the future. Let me know if you want to see some of my university stuff and study stuff for fashion design. I think if I do that, I will start in around April or something, but let me know if that's something that you would be interested in. I hope I can finish the pants pattern for the vest next time. And other than that, let me know what else you want to see. And you can also go ahead and follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I'm more active on TikTok than Instagram, but anyways, I will link the pattern in the description. It's the first link. And I see you next time. Bye!